Hello, this is Ali with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today we have the latest episode of Real Talk for Lightworkers, where we're going to talk about the dangers of allowing your self-care or self-love acts to actually be spiritual bypassing or just life bypassing. Okay, so this was essentially sparked by an article I shared on my Facebook page several weeks ago concerning self-care and self-love. And I've actually talked about this quite a bit, the idea is that self-love and self-care is not synonymous with taking bubble baths and eating chocolate cake and listening to music and going for a walk and going to a yoga class. That's not necessarily self-care and self-love. The real bottom line fundamental truth is, in its purest form. Okay, so we're going to go into this a little bit deeper in the video, so don't get hung up on this right now. But just, I'm going to tell you the end, and then we'll tell you how we get here, okay? In its truest form, the one and only act of self-love, okay? What self-love actually is you fully and completely taking responsibility for who you are, what is in alignment with you, and moving yourself towards that. You taking responsibility for what truth is in the universal sense and in the relative sense, and aligning your life to reflect and be in alignment with that truth. So you understanding, here's how the world works, here's who I am, here is what inspires me, here is the unique individual that I am, so that I can become responsible for myself, meaning I am not causing chaos, destruction, and disorder out in the world because I'm not taking care of myself, meaning I'm causing a mess in my own life that I'm needing other people or other societies or other agencies essentially to clean up for me. And at the same time, I'm starting to produce and create and be in alignment with what is unique to me. I am living a life that works for the unique individual that I am, understanding that I am not like anybody else. Yeah? So again, for example, yes, we all have human bodies. And so we all need, generally speaking, the same food to power our bodies. But specifically speaking, there is variation based on your lineage, what you've been through, your health condition in this time, what you're kind of working with and working towards, right? We can't just say there's a correct diet for everyone, and we know this because everyone is a little bit different. But we can't say everyone's diet should be like radically different. Like some people should be eating dirt and some people should be eating fruit. No, like there's still a context for what is food for humans. And then there's a context for what is pertinent and valuable for you and your body right here, right now, within that larger context. Yes? So this is what it is. It's understanding there's a larger context of how life works, what truth is, and living in alignment with that. And at the same time, there's that narrower context of what is pertinent for you on your path right now. That is what self-love is. Living in alignment with who you are and the reality, and seeing that those two things are a Venn diagram that connect on almost every level, and living that, okay? So where self-love practices become a cul-de-sac is when we use them as placebo alignment and distraction from actually doing the hard work we need to do in our lives to align ourselves, okay? So again, most of us still have, even if you've watched like all of my videos, even if you've been through so many things in your life, most of us still have a pretty hard sticking idea in our mind that a negative emotion, a negative feeling, a negative thought is a bad thing and something we want to get rid of. We want to make it feel better. Yes? And this is innocent enough, right? We are drilled this message so hard, so hardcore, like literally, especially if you live in the United States, like you're being sold medication on a daily basis on the TV, in your magazines, called antidepressants that are designed to say, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling these things, something is wrong with you. Don't worry, you can take a pill and make that go away. Yes? And so we have to admit to ourselves that even when we're on the self-love path, and we still have a lot of resistance to the idea that a negative emotion is there for a reason to tell us something, and that, again, the resolution of that negative emotion is not going to come in meditation. The resolution of that negative emotion is not going to come from journaling. The resolution of that negative emotion is not going to come from figuring out even what is out of alignment with you, what you're doing that's out of alignment with you, what's happening in your life that is a growth opportunity and a growth barrier that you need to push through. That is not what's going to make you feel better. The thing that's going to make you feel better is actually acting on the growth that you're being stimulated to have. Yes? It is truly, again, I've used this metaphor in literally every single one of my videos lately, but it is really this thing, right? You're sick, you go to the doctor, they tell you what you have, and then that is not the answer. You don't feel better when you get a diagnosis. So this is exactly what meditation is. Meditation is a diagnosis. Journaling is a diagnosis. These self-love, spirituality things that we do, the self-introspection, the observation of reality, the emotional mastery stuff, all of that is diagnosis. That is not the answer. That is not the end. That is not the solution. So anyone who's doing meditation to try to feel better, anyone who's doing journaling to try to feel better, anyone who's coming to any spiritual practice to try to feel better is in a cul-de-sac, okay? Because it is not those things that will make you feel better. Because it is not, again, right? People do not have a headache because they have an Advil deficiency. That is not the solution. The Advil can make you feel better for a period of time. It can suppress the symptom, make you not feel it anymore, distract you, yes? But that didn't take away the cause of why you have a headache. And it is exactly the same thing with meditation, journaling, self-introspection, going to workshops, going to courses, gathering information, doing trainings. All of that is the diagnosis phase. That's the collecting information. Why do I have a headache? Why am I anxious? Why am I depressed? But if it's not leading you to realizing that it's because I'm working a job that I don't like. I have debt and I haven't figured out how to spend responsibly. I have beliefs about myself and about the world that are painful and are causing me to, and are painful because they are out of alignment with truth. So if you haven't watched my video already on reality, how to find reality, please watch that if you don't know what truth is. Truth is simply that which is life generating. So again, understanding. You are an ever-evolving being if you are on a life-generating path, meaning you are meant to grow, change, learn, and expand forever. So this is not about, so alignment, understanding, is not about completely understanding yourself, completely understanding reality, reaching a state of perfection, and then hanging out there. That is not what this is, because that will never happen. That is completely antithetical to life. Life which states that which is growing, learning, and expanding is life. So to reach a stagnant point where you're complete and you got it all figured out and it's done and it's perfect, that is not life. You're not going to get there. Yeah? You don't want to get there because then that would mean death. So we understand alignment is not perfection. Alignment is the continual learning, growing, expanding, changing that is required to stay alive. Okay? So when we look at these self-care practices, so again, like most people who watch this can probably tell, right? If you're sitting there and you're eating a bunch of food that you know doesn't make you feel good because you had a really rough day at work, you know that's a distraction. You're watching hours and hours of TV. You have to be on social media all the time. You need something to distract you all the time. You take drugs, you drink alcohol, you need numb. You're engaging in sexual activities that are not supportive and conducive to your happiness and connection, and you're having drama in your life. We all know that that is distraction. Yes? Most people can figure that out. That's not alignment. That's not figuring myself out. That's not really self-care. That's self-distraction. That's distracting me from what I don't want to look at so I can keep living the life the way that I'm living it. Where most of us are getting fooled and getting tricked is that we think, well, I don't eat junk food, I don't watch TV, I just meditate and I just journal and I just listen to spiritual teachers, and so I must be in alignment. Why do I still feel bad? Why do I still have negative emotions? Why do I still have negative thoughts? Maybe I'm just not meditating enough. Maybe I'm just not doing these things. No, that's a cul-de-sac, okay? We're a step closer, yes? The meditation, the journaling, all of these things, that's a step in the right direction. That's less self-destructive than eating foods that are hurting your body and watching a bunch of mindless TV and checking out from your life. But if we start to use it, again, as a bypass for the real true understanding that you do those practices to awaken your consciousness to the things in your actual life that are out of alignment with you, and then changing those things in your actual life so that you can be in alignment with you, we're stuck in a loop. Okay, so I used to live in a metropolitan city, Vancouver, Canada, and work for a very, very corporate, essentially very popular yoga studio. And I remember thinking, like watching people go into these classes, right? Coming either like super early in the morning before they go to their corporate job with their Starbucks, and they're not healthy in their body. You can tell they don't feel good. They have all this stress and all this drama, right? I would always like empath people, but of course listening to conversations and hearing the drama with the boyfriend and hearing the drama with the work and hearing the da-da-da-da-da, and everyone's complaining and everyone's really upset and they're using all these things, yeah? And then they go to class and they come out and they're so much better, and they go to their life, and then they come back the next day and they're all down again. And they do their yoga, they feel all better, they go to their life, they come back and they're down again. And I just kept thinking, okay, this yoga that they're doing is actually hurting them. These self-care practices are now becoming poison. And what I mean by that is this. They are getting a little boost by doing their yoga, doing their meditation, going for a walk in nature, because these things are closer to alignment with who they are. It makes you feel better for a second. It gives you a little energy. But the thing is, if you then have to come back to it tomorrow or in a couple of days because you're right back at that place where you're stressed out and burnt out and tired and everything's hard and you're having a lot of negative emotions and you're crumbling again. Now using yoga, now using meditation, now you're using these things as a crutch. And this is a hard thing to hear. And I understand that this is a hard thing to hear because we want to believe that these things are the answer. If I just do enough meditation, if I just do enough yoga, if I'm just spiritual enough, I'll be happy. No, you won't. It's never the answer. Because again, the ultimate reason why you're suffering in your life is because you're doing things in your life that are out of alignment with truth, out of alignment with the truth of reality, out of alignment with the truth of who you are, and therefore are killing you. And I mean that. Literally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You are not growing, learning, and expanding. You're dying. That's what feels bad, right? I said the one thing that feels bad is the resistance of information. Why? Because when we resist information, we're not growing. We're not learning. We're not expanding, which means we're dying. Yes? And again, there's nothing wrong with dying. Most of us are gonna die. And we all go through phases where we have to die. We have to let things die. We have to go on a death cycle. It's not always wrong in the sense that, in the larger context, because this is how truth always works, right? It's a paradox. Sometimes life includes death. A death cycle is important in life. We have to go through something that is totally out of alignment with us and essentially die to that thing and then restart in a new way. And that death was actually a part of life. So this is what I'm saying. We all have these negative emotions. We all have these things that are hard. We all have these things that are making our lives miserable in a lot of ways. And ultimately speaking, you're not going to feel better because of yoga. You're not going to feel better because of a bath. You're not going to feel better because that's not going to fix your life. You want to get to a place where you see, okay, it's not a lack of yoga that's hurting me. It's not a lack of bubble bath that I feel so upset. It's not because I'm not doing my self-care enough that I'm upset. It's because I don't like my job. It's because I don't like how I'm acting in my relationships. It's because the food that I'm eating is not serving me. It's very fundamental and rudimentary every time. I'm not living in alignment with that which is life-generating for a human or life-generating for me as a unique individual. So self-care is taking responsibility for all the places where there's chaos, destruction, pain, devolution happening in your life and saying, okay, what is there to learn here? Number one. And then the second thing is, with that knowledge, what do I have to change about my life? What do I have to change? And it's always going to be the scariest thing in the world. This is why most people would prefer to meditate all day than to do the actual thing. Because again, we have to remember, we're all conditioned. We all have this conditioning of you're not allowed to be like that. This is how reality works. Don't think. Don't be different. Don't be weird. Don't demand too much. Don't think you can. The Matrix is fully a lie. It's a very awesome lie that helps us. It's truly exactly what we need to grow if we see it that way. But it's literally designed perfectly to be exactly the antithesis of the truth. So anytime we're living in alignment with something that's out of alignment with the truth, and we have this growth barrier in us now to push past it and change, and we don't do it, we're going to feel like shit. Okay? So this is the main key. All right? Self-care truly is more or less quitting the job. It's facing the fears within you of all of these false beliefs that you have, starting to see how they have rippled out into your life and caused chaos and destruction in all of these different ways, and then seeing that I have to change and be different to clean up this mess. Yeah? I have to be different in my relationship. I can't be so codependent. I can't be so reliant upon other people loving me. I can't be so rejecting of who I am to get the love of other people. Because look at how much chaos that's causing. I can't work this job that looks good on paper but feels horrible inside. I can't eat this food that I think is right for me but clearly, because of my health, is not. I'm not getting healthy results. I don't feel good, so I'm wrong. I have to change. You're not going to feel better by discovering that. So again, the self-care practices of meditation, yoga, journaling, talking with your friends, all of these things, very important. I'm not telling you not to do these things. I'm saying you need to do these things. Okay, but they are not the answer. They are how you get the answer. The true answer is the application of that information. Okay? So don't let your spiritual practices become a cul-de-sac. Don't let that placebo alignment of I felt good after my meditation so I can just go on living my life and then I'm going to have to meditate again tomorrow morning because I'm going to feel like shit again. That's not it. That's not the answer. It's not a lack of meditation that is your problem. It's not a lack of Advil why you have a headache. It's not a lack of meditation why you don't feel good in your life. Okay? But meditation can help you figure out why you don't feel good in your life. Journaling can help you figure out why you don't feel good in your life. And like I say, you're going to then face all of that conditioning that says you're not allowed to be this, you're not allowed to do this, this is how you have to be, and you're going to have to rebel against all of it. You're going to have to be strong enough to say, okay, that's what everyone's told me my whole life. It's killing me, so I have two options. Keep doing what's killing me, trying to convince myself it's good so I'll just keep going to yoga and feeling a little bit better and then feeling like shit again tomorrow. Or I'll face that fear of being rejected. I'll face that fear of love going away and doing it anyways. Being this different self, leaving the job, leaving the relationship, changing the way you interact with people, requiring something new, no more drama, all that stuff. You give up all that stuff because you figure out the truth and then you live it. And then that is the ultimate act of self-love because you are saying, I love myself no matter what. Because this is the thing. We're living life out of alignment with ourselves for one reason and one reason only. Because we want external love. Coming back into alignment with yourself is saying, I'm going to do what I know is right for me, whether you like it or not. And I'm going to love myself, whether you love me or not. And with my actions, I'm going to live in alignment with me. So that's why taking responsibility for yourself is the ultimate act of self-love. Because that is saying, I love myself enough to be myself. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. See you next time.